senators.
So a United States senator promised that she would do something, and then she didn't?
No, she promised. She just said that she was concerned about children.
Uh-huh.
And we sent her a letter for help. Nothing. She just forwarded it over to Arnold Schwarzenegger, who forwarded it on to somewhere else. Last year we were in a real bind. Our landlord, he was from Uganda,
Uh-huh.
went through a realtor and to get a lease, and he bailed on his mortgage, walked off with $7,500 of our money.
Uh-huh.
Deutsche Bank owned the property, and they did not give us a 60-day, even a 60-day notice, and suddenly we got an unlawful detainer, and they said, well, don't worry about it,
Right.
and then suddenly there's a 5-day lockout notice on the door. I say, you can't do that. It says it's already done, but you promised. It doesn't matter. We've got the house back. So, went to the court and alleged fraud and won. So they offered us the place at $200,000. It was valued at $325,000. We went to every single bank, begged to lend us the $200,000 to purchase the place. They said, look at the comps. They said, oh no, if it sells for $200,000, that's all it's worth.
Right.
Well, we couldn't do it. It cost all our savings to be able to move. The place that we're at right now wanted over $16,000 just to get the keys to the front door.
Yeah.
And 6 months in advance plus 1 month security. And then I found out that the bank sold the place 2 months later for $325,000. Could have gotten $325,000 in 2 months, but the banks were too busy getting bailed out with $1.5 trillion.
So you're telling me that frickin' the missing and exploited children get $31 million a year?
If you look on their website where it says About Us,
I'm there.
one of the things on there is a financial statement. I believe it's a 990.
Let me see here. Branch Regional Board of
It's on guide.
Annual report.
If it's not there, it's on Charity Navigator.
Well, there's an annual report.
No, forget the annual report. That is just their hype for themselves. Let me just take a look 1 second. Did you get my last link that I sent you?
Yeah.
ncmec.org, and go to About Us. No, let me see here. Charity Navigator, I think. Type in National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Go. And Alexandria, Virginia. Click on the name. This is the one? No, this is not the one. It is GuideStar. GuideStar.org.
Okay,
Go to GuideStar. I'm trying to do right now, and type in the name National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
It's GuideStar.com?
.org.
.org.
And type in National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And click on the name. That's the first one that comes up.
Okay, so anyway, what I'm basically asking is...
990 over there. so you can see their financial statement.
For the National Center of Missing.
990 in Doc.
Okay. So $31 million a year, and their website looks like this.
Yep.
And you guys have been running a shoestring budget for 29 years.
Uh-huh.
And help anywhere between 50 and 100 people a day.
Uh-huh.
And there's no government money for you guys because the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children
No politics.
has taken it all. And they have people that work for that. They have people working for that charity that make how much a year?
Take a look at the statement, but Ernie Allen makes $550,000 a year.
Okay, that's money that's being donated and money that's being given to them by the government?
The government gives them $30.5 million, and privately they get probably another $20-25 million.
And so basically they can give themselves any salary they want.
Yep. And that's why that article in the St. Petersburg Times talks about Ernie Allen's salary and John Walsh's salary.
And John Walsh won't even speak anywhere unless you pay him $50,000.
Yeah, I have a link somewhere. He's registered with one speakers bureau, and I called them up because it doesn't say. And the guy called me back and said he wants $50,000 per speaking engagement, and it's like a 2-hour speaking engagement.
Wow. So nobody does anything for the cause anymore. They just do it for themselves over at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
It seems that way. I have asked the people over there exactly, right now I have a Freedom of Information Act into the Department of Justice that they still haven't responded to in its entirety. And I've been asking, because you can't do it on the National Center. This is for the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. And I've asked exactly how many, and I've asked the National Center this, how many stranger abducted children have they recovered, alive or dead? And they refuse to answer. Because the answer is zero. It's zero. And so there are more kids who drown in swimming pools than are abducted each year by strangers. It's a very rare occurrence, and that's why you see it on the newspapers.
Right.
Like that Shasta Groney, that girl, her family was murdered, and the guy abducted her and she was like 6 or 7 years old, and her brother was 7 or 8 years old, and then the guy killed her brother, and someone saw her in a convenience store.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
they had her on video from a convenience store.
So, it was only because she was a pretty little girl that he kept her alive, because he was molesting her, and her brother he didn't care about, just murdered him after he took him away. And the National Center didn't have any part in that, didn't have any part in the recovery of Elizabeth Smart.
Who did?
Again, it was some person that in the store that identified her in Utah. Just from seeing her on the TV.
Right.
J.C. Lee Dugard, it was the current probation officer that saw her with Garrido and said to bring her down the next time, and when she got there, she said to the guy, she was going by some other name, and she said, "Oh, by the way, I'm J.C. Lee Dugard. I was abducted when I was 11 years old," and that's how they found her.
Right.
So now the state of California, I think, has paid her something like $20 million without even a lawsuit.
Right.
They know they were wrong.
So basically, they're getting $30-some million a year, and they're basically not helping anyone but themselves.
Yep. And I just wrote a grant that got denied by Bank of America. And that is for immediate search and rescue. So, for instance, if there's a girl like J.C. Lee Dugard who was abducted under really suspicious circumstances, you have a team of they're not sitting by your desk all the time but you have a team of private investigators or whatever and bloodhound handlers who are on call 24 hours a day, and you're able to subcontract them, or they volunteer their time, but probably subcontract them, to immediately go out into the area with bloodhounds, go to all the places that might have security cameras, go online to Megan's Law and check out the addresses of all sexual predators, sexual offenders, registered sex offenders. Because if that had been done with J.C. Lee Dugard, she would have been found 18 years ago.
Yeah.
No one ever did. And the people who went to Garrido's door didn't even check to see what was in his backyard. And she was there all the time, hiding in plain sight, as they say.
Yeah.
You need something that basically would operate like, that TV series The Missing.
Right.
Reality. And you can't perform miracles, but it's a whole lot better than what's being done now.
Right. So you're telling me, out of all that money that they get every year, they don't have private investigators or...
No. They describe themselves as a clearinghouse. And I ask, what is a clearinghouse? Well, they're a clearinghouse. They're a repository for photographs. Well, I could create a website. You think I'm bad, but I could create a website that would have all their photos on there. And even if I hired somebody, what's it going to cost? $25,000 to create and maintain their website? You don't need $30.5 million a year to do it.
Right. That money should be distributed, evenly among, the actual real people that are actually doing this.
And if you ask one of them, is your hotline listed with directory assistance? I bet you they'd say, yeah, of course. It's not. They don't call it. They don't care. Do they care if a child is found? No. What Ernie Allen, the director of the National Center, cares about is his paycheck. It's kind of like Randall Stevenson, the director of AT&T. Some guy found out his email address and sent him 2 emails and said he was having some problem. What does Randall Stevenson do? Instead of saying, hey, thank you for your email, I'm going to forward it on, see that it takes care of, gets taken care of, he took out a restraining order against the guy. He doesn't care about AT&T customers. He cares that he makes $25 million a year.
Right. And with your guys' company, you have been around for 29 years, and
The 15th will be around for 29 years.
29 years, and you basically, your guys' phone room is just mostly volunteers, and when you don't have enough volunteers, you take it on. And how much did you guys get in charitable donations last year?
Let's see. Target in the past 29 years has contributed about $50,000 over 29 years. Ben Stiller's wife was on our board, so we got a contribution over 3 years of, I think it was $4,000. I mean, he makes I don't know how much a picture. They must have $100 million.
Right.
And there have been occasional small contributions here and there. I called up the owner of the Spearmint Rhino, and I said, most of the women that work for you have come from this kind of background. And the Spearmint Rhino is owned jointly by a man and a woman, and the woman, she contributed $2,000 about 3 years ago, and I contacted her again this year, and she contributed another $1,000. But the contact, it's just,
have you guys
America, other banks, you really, the foundations are telling me that they've lost a lot of money on their investments